You mentioned Drew White maybe not playing as well as he possibly could based on a number of factors. Kyle Hamilton's one of the best in the business, and he couldn't play at his best because he was banged up most of the season, but still was one of the best around. So he leads the secondary, obviously.
Yeah, it says. I mean, he played like an All-American last year. He wasn't an. Some guys, this, Mark. You've been, you're the voice of college football, right? You've been following this a long time. There's a lot of guys that get named All-Americans because of who they play for or their reputation. Kyle Hamilton played like an All-American last year. I mean, he was really effective. But as you said, he had an ankle injury he suffered early in the year that kind of dogged him all year, and yet he still played the way he did. He is a very special player. He's every bit of 6'4". He's an exceptional athlete. He comes from a basketball family, so it kind of explains his agility, his twitchiness. His brother played guard at Penn. His dad played overseas for, I think, almost like 20 years. He played at I can't remember. I think he played at like LaSalle, something like that. But his dad is a 6'7" guy. His brother's 6'5", so that's where you get that range from. He's a really fluid, explosive athlete. But the thing that makes Kyle special, those traits help. He's an incredibly intelligent football player. He rarely makes the same mistake twice. And even in practice, when we couldn't go to practice last year, but as a freshman, he would go out in a practice and just get smoked off corner routes for like 3-4 times in a row. And then the rest of fall camp, I never saw anybody beat him on a corner again, because he just had that ability to say, okay, this is why I got beat. I watched the film. I made the correction, and you're never going to beat me on that again. And that's just the kind of guy he is. He's an incredibly smart football player as well, which allows him to sometimes – he'll start kind of going to where the ball is going to be before the ball snapped. He just kind of has it, okay, they're doing this, and this. I know what's coming. That kind of football IQ really separates him. And that's what he was doing as a sophomore, a true sophomore. He's going to be a junior now. He's got a full year starting under his belt. The expectations are that he's just going to be an absolute beast back there. But look, the reality is there's no Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah on the team this year to try to shy people away from going at Kyle. They're going to just be able to avoid him. You had to go at Kyle Hamilton at times, because otherwise, what was your alternative? Running at Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah? You know what I mean? That's not going to be the case this year. So teams are going to avoid Kyle a lot more, which is going to put a lot more pressure on the rest of the secondary to step up and play well. The other safeties are going to have to step up. Cam Hart steps into a starting position at cornerback. He's going to have to be really good, because they're going to throw him to the wolves. You're going to be playing a lot of man coverage. He had a great spring. Clarence Lewis has to step up. Tariq Bracy needs to bounce back, get to his 2019 form. That's the position group where I have the most question marks, and why it's so important that the defensive line does play to its full potential. Because if the defensive line's not putting pressure on the quarterback, I don't think this is a secondary that can just go out and cover people all day. It's not like the 2018 unit. So that would be my one concern, of just the lack of certainty other than Kyle Hamilton at those positions. But there's good talent there. Don't get me wrong. It's just very unproven.
You could have a concern here with your place kicker, Jonathan Dorr. He's been pretty rock steady for a long time, 33 of 44, but most of those misses came a little bit late down the stretch last year. Your punter, your place kicker back, so the specialist back, that's always a good sign, typically a good sign. But again, he had some misses late.
It's, look, kickers are an interesting breed of football player, because a lot of it's just in their head. Like, some guys can make a miss. It's like quarterback, right? Some guy can throw a pick and he's like, whatever, I screwed up. I know what I did wrong. Another guy throws a pick and it just snowballs. And that's what happened to Jonathan Dorr last year. If you look through the first 6 games of the year, he had one miss. He was almost perfect. And then he had a miss against Clemson. And then after that, he had a miss in every single game after that. And you look at the ACC title game, he makes this first drive, he makes this long 40-plus yard field goal. And then the next drive, he's got a shot for one that's basically a borderline extra point. And he shanks it and he hits off the upright. And you're just like, how do you drill a 40-plus yarder and then miss an extra point? It's because it's up here. And that's going to be the thing with Jonathan is, can he get out of his own way? Can he get out of his own head? If he can, he's got a really live leg, and he's got a very strong kicking leg. But it's just about, you got to get out of your own head. And if he can do that, he'll be fine. If he can't, they're going to have some issues. They got a freshman named Joshua Bryan that they brought in. So if Dorr struggles, you're going to have a little bit of a challenge. And then Jay Bramlett at punter is the exact opposite of Jonathan Dorr. He's about as steady as you're going to find. doesn't have the big, powerful leg that Dorr had or that Tyler Newsome, the previous punter, had, but about as consistent. I mean, his hang time is just insanely good, and teams just can't get returns against him. Number one, because of him, but then number two, because Notre Dame's coverage units on special teams are outstanding. You know, and all those athletic linebackers and safeties and corners that they have is a big part of that. But you know, Jay Bramlett's about as steady as you're going to find, and if they can get Jonathan Dorr to get his head back on track to where it was in 2019 when he was really good, he went 17 of 20. If they can get him to do that, then you know, like you said, the special teams, at least the coverage and the kicking operation will be pretty good.